my gosh, why? What's up everybody, Meet Kevin here. So I've been wondering what video to post today and I haven't been super motivated, and then all of a sudden I saw this video drop from Graham. Everything wrong with my $100,000 remodel. And it was sort of just like this beacon that called to me and said, aha, it needs me to watch it live with you and react to find out what the heck my buddy Graham is up to. So without further ado, let's just hop right into this video and see what's going on. Let's add some commentary here.
I've been a little hesitant about posting sooner because I wanted to wait until more work had been done, more progress had been made, and there's a little bit more of a substantial update to give. Kind of like with this video today. I just wish it were more good news, but yet again this...
I see plywood back there already, which kind of implies like this whole like kitchen wall has been removed. That makes me nervous because that looks expensive. And I don't like spending a lot of money on remodels.
This thing is just draining money. But anyway, you tell me, if you want to see more frequent videos on the status of the remodel, just let me know and I will absolutely do it.
Oh my gosh, why? Wait a minute, look at what's happened here. All of the ceiling framing, or almost all of the ceiling framing has been redone. We've got every surface of every wall removed here. What, for a rental? I mean, look, this is gonna be one of those things where it's gonna look like a new construction model home, but for a rental, there's no way I could see myself removing every wall like this.
Being in a mess.
Wow. Okay, well you left the wall at the beginning there. I'm interested to see. Okay, it looks like maybe there's a new header up front here as well. You can see kind of the Simpson hardware right here. This is expensive. Great. I mean, this is awesome. Like, it's gonna be a great product, but it's expensive. And look, they actually hung a fire extinguisher. Nice. Good contractor.
But back to the topic, to be honest, I did not expect this place to continually go over budget as much as it did. I didn't expect to replace so much, and what started off as a really innocent, like 2 to 3 month renovation, has really just turned into a massive undertaking that I was not anticipating. Not to mention, I just had to spend another $10,000 fixing even more issues with this place. So
okay, I want to make a quick disclaimer here. If you're interested in investing in real estate and like rental properties and things like that, one of the big things that I've learned, because I've gone through so many renovations like this, one of the big things that I found is the less you touch up front and the less of a plan or vision you have up front, the less risk of you going over budget. Quick example, if you have a $30,000 budget doing paint, carpet, linoleum, hardware, light fixtures, and plumbing fixtures, and like reglazing tubs and stuff, okay, what's 10% over budget? $3,000, 20% over budget, $36,000? Not that big of a deal. You go in going, I'm gonna do an $80,000 budget, which I believe this was going to be, it can quickly balloon way beyond that. So I'm interested to see, because now it's an $80,000, or now it says what's wrong with my $100,000 remodel. So let's see how this develops.
With that said, here's what's been happening over here, everything that's gotten done, and wait for it, everything wrong with the unit. On December 11th, 2019, I posted a video of what this unit looked like once the tenant moved out. This place had been occupied for over 10 years, and the prior video what this...
See, look at this. All of this drywall is gone. So what they did is actually this wall right here has been removed, I believe. That's why we have that header going across. Which again, it's fine, but you do the structural changes, it's very expensive. Because they removed that, they probably thought, well, we may as well redo all of the drywall. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the may as well, because it's may as well spend more money is what it is.
This unit looked like once the tenant moved out. This place had been occupied for over 10 years, and the prior owner and landlord before me pretty much did no work whatsoever. That just basically meant that the entire place was left in deteriorating condition. It had...
So let's look at this, because to me, as a rental property, the doors look fine. We'll put some new light fixtures in. We'll paint the walls, remove the carpet, and jazz up that existing hardwood flooring that's there, which we know is there because I peeled it back. And those kitchen cabinets are original hardwood cabinets. They're great. I've refinished a lot of those. Then I drywall the ceiling and call it a day.
anyway. Then in the second update of the series posted on December 20th, we started tearing apart the unit and going behind the walls to see what was behind. And that's where things started to get a bit interesting. Anytime you start a renovation, you never really know what you're getting into until you go behind the walls and then you see what you're really dealing with. Because unfortunately, drywall and paint can cover up a lot of issues that you would have never known about otherwise. And
I don't know, like, I get it. I totally get that because, you know, like in Matt Reisinger's Remodel, I met Matt, by the way, in Vegas. Yeah, you can pull open the walls and all of a sudden it's like, you've got like rats or you've got mildew. But the thing about Matt's remodel was mildew shows you evidence outside of the wall, right? You can tell that there's mildew growing on the outside. You could tell if there's rot on the drywall, which signals what's on the inside. The cool thing about real estate is real estate gives you red flags. It gives you indicators of what's behind the wall. You know what the age is, you know what the red flags are, and then you could make these assumptions like, all right, well, we know it was built at this time. It's probably got knob and tube wiring. It probably doesn't have insulation in the walls because nothing back then was built with insulation in the walls. We know it had the original windows, right? You could make these assumptions. So really what you're worried about then are things like leaks. But where do you also usually see leaks? Stainage on ceilings, stainage on walls, stainage below windows. Little things like that that can actually prevent you from just skinning a property, which to me will make you spend a lot of money. But don't get me wrong, this is gonna be beautiful and it's in Los Angeles, so it's not like you could really lose money here. Very common in these houses.
Just so beyond repair. And then having to replace some ceiling jousts that were just sagging from old age.
I mean, I don't know that these joists are sagging from old age. I think there were some possibly structural things removed here because look at how much lumber is removed. And here, I mean, this is an indication that there was some kind of partition or something here. This is a lot of removing. Of course this is gonna sag, like immediately. It's possible that some structural things were removed here. Wow, this is just a lot of demo.
This one, right over here. Well, all of these. And in that video, I also discussed some issues.
That's what happens. That's exactly the slippery slope of construction. Let's take off all the ceiling tiles. Oh, one of them is bowing. Well, let's take off this wall. Let's replace this one wall. And then, oh, well, if we're gonna replace this one, let's replace all of them. You know what? I figured it out. I am the Graham version from Millennial Money when it comes to remodels. That's it.
When we got behind the walls and started looking into adding recessed lighting everywhere, we noticed that the current electrical system was just extremely old. It was all of that old knob and tube wiring that was extremely prevalent during early 1900s constructions like this one. And surprisingly, it actually held up pretty decently over the last 100 years. But even though it worked, it was definitely deteriorating, and because that type of wiring has a higher risk of fire hazard, it was best just to go and replace it all now while everything is opened up, as well as a new electrical panel.
Which, by the way, quick note, what a lot of people do on these 1920s remodels, because Graham is correct, the knob and tube wasn't designed for the big loads, the big amounts of power that we use today. What a lot of people do is they'll convert the lighting they have on the ceiling circuits, where it's more expensive to replace the knob and tube, unless of course you're opening up all the walls, they'll convert those to LED lights. So that way you have very little energy actually flowing through the wires, dramatically reducing your chance of any kind of fire. Obviously, if the wiring is damaged and there are issues and circuits aren't working, that's bad. But that is one thing that a lot of people are doing. So just a heads up, I'm not saying you have to do that, but if you're ever buying like a 1920s remodel or 1930s remodel, know that a lot of flippers will do that trick. And it holds up because the LED lighting uses so little power.
For the price of another $10,000.
God!
Again, this is something that's
What?
on.
No! If it's all opened up, it shouldn't be $10,000. It's a 2 and 2 basically, because they're gonna add the bathroom. Whoa, that's a lot of money.
By licensed electricians, so you get what you pay for. But that's another $10,000 that I'm not getting back, and that makes no difference whatsoever to the ROI on this unit. It's not like a tenant is gonna pay more money for a unit with all new electrical wiring. But at the very least, it's gonna be one less thing I need to do in the future, and it's not gonna be something I'll have to worry about for a very, very long time. Next.
That is true, and that is one nice thing about this. I mean, this is basically going to be a new old home. You're gonna be able to keep this thing for the next 50 years and you're not gonna have to worry about it.
was that we had to replace these ceiling jousts because the old ones were 100 years old and sagging. Again, that's something that you don't really see until you take off the ceilings and then you see what's underneath and what you're dealing with. But again, that comes with the territory, and one of the reasons why I always tell people to expect it's going to cost way more than you think it will, because it always does. We also had to go and level out the floors because over time things have just shifted around a bit, and we did that by laying board over top. But the bad news is that the current hardwood floors are going to be difficult to salvage and keep everything level at the same time without spending a ridiculous amount of money.
Now, one note, what a lot of people do on the 1920s remodels is they look and they go, it's a 1920s house. In certain areas, you can kind of jack up the floor underneath to level it back out, but some imperfections in the levelness can be normal. But again, this will be perfect. This will be beautiful. I'm happy for that. I'm excited to see the after of this.
So I'm not going to have to deal with this for a very long time. I'm still relatively undecided about whether or not I should go and replace these old louver windows. But with all of the additional costs, I'm thinking I should just leave it as is for right now, since replacing all of these is not going to give me that much higher of an ROI. And in a way, they're kind of cool to keep intact. Although unfortunately, they're kind of old, so my fingers are crossed that the new tenant who moves in really appreciates these vintage windows. We'll go with that. Besides that, though, everything is coming along really nicely.
I mean, I have to say, I think a tenant would prefer a dual pane window over perfectly straight joists and, you know, new electrical in the ceiling. But again, hey, this is basically a new construction build. It's gonna last a long time.
They just finished opening up the wall from the living room to the dining room, and you can see they put in the supports and beam up here. We've also just started installing new electrical wiring and recessed lighting, plus we put in the plumbing to the guest bathroom and over here to the laundry area. The entire formation of the floor plan is really starting to take shape. Like, you can see where the kitchen is going to end, and where the bathroom begins, and where the bedroom begins, and where the hallway leads to the master bedroom. Now, in terms of the master bathroom, this thing has just been a nightmare to design. You right here on the screen. So the toilet is going to be going over here in this corner, then the shower will take up this entire space with glass on both sides here, or alternatively I could do a shower and clawfoot tub, which might actually be kind of cool now that I'm thinking about it. So let me know your thoughts, or if you'd prefer a modern shower, comment down below and let me know. Then over here we're going to be having a
See, the thing is, this is going to be one of those like gentrified LA units. I kind of feel like the clawfoot is going to have that LA style and vibe. I don't think they're as functional though, especially for kids. It's a big water mess that ends up coming out, which ends up being more wear and tear on the property. Given that this is a rental, I don't think I would do clawfoot. If this were a flip and I didn't have to worry about the longevity of this and the damage that it would cause to the wall, maybe clawfoot.
vanity with a mirror above. Overall, I'm hoping this layout should provide enough space that if two people are in the bathroom at once, smashing the like button, it should still be a functional layout that doesn't look weird. Then that leaves space for the closet to go along this entire wall here, which at first I wasn't sure about, but now that you see it in person, it's really more than enough space for a unit of this size. So overall, yeah, this is now going to be costing me over $110,000 to fix up with me redoing all the wiring, not including, by the way, anything else that goes wrong. But I have to say, at the very least, I see this as money well spent, because not only is this going to be less that I'll have to do in the future, but it's also going to increase the value of the property as well. I also fully acknowledge that yes, I could have gotten these costs down a little bit further if I managed the project myself and I did more shopping around. But at that point, I'm willing to pay a little bit more money to save myself a little bit more time to focus on other things that should end up making me more money than what I end up paying out.
And see, that's totally true. Look, when I bought my first property for $300,000, I managed everything, and I subcontracted directly to the electrician, so I could spend $5,000 on electrical and do some, work myself and minimize the costs and save every dime I could because I didn't have money, and my opportunity cost was different, right? I'm working at Red Robin making $15 an hour. It actually makes more sense for me to spend time drywalling than working at Red Robin. On the flip side, Graham's income's obviously a little bit more substantial than a Red Robin income, so it makes sense to pay more to have a contractor completely manage the project. One thing I do want to caution though is when you're looking at large remodels like this for a rental purpose, doing a large remodel for the purposes of a rental and then justifying it by the increase in sale value that you're going to get, to me doesn't matter as much. Because think about this. If you look at that duplex unit and you say, all right, I'm gonna put $30,000 into cleaning it up, refinish the hardwood floor, paint, light fixtures, and plumbing. you're probably going to rent it for relatively close to what a complete remodel would rent for. See, here's what I mean by that. If you have a house that's worth $400,000 now, and you spend $30,000 on that remodel, but now it's worth $500,000, you actually created $70,000 worth of value. But if you now take a $400,000 house and you spend $100,000 on it, and now maybe it's worth $525,000 or even $540,000, you actually got less potential extra resale value. And because it's a rental and you're not reselling, you tied up $100,000 instead of tying up $30,000. Me personally, my budget on that rental property, I would have kept the floor plan the same. It is what it is. I would have refinished the hardwood floors, and my budget would have been substantially lower. Looking at what it was before, I'm gonna pull a spreadsheet and let's do it together. I would have probably spent somewhere around $4,000 on electrical, like new light fixtures, plumbing, new fixtures, finishes, repair any kind of damage. There is a wood damage by the windows. I would have kept the windows. So I would have done the wood damage repairs, probably somewhere around $4,000 for wood damage repairs, termite. If I have to fumigate, we could do that. Refinish about 800 square feet of hardwood floor. The newer linoleum for the kitchen and the bathrooms with some carpet in the back bedroom, probably would have spent somewhere around $2,000 for that. The ceiling tile was a problem, so for drywall for the ceiling, I would probably put about $3,000 here. We have to paint the inside of the unit, the baseboards, the doors. We're going to have to use some special primers because the older oil base, that's just the way it is. Plus painting the cabinets, I would have probably spent about $6,500. Let's go conservative and go $7,000 on interior paint all in. Then I would have spent some money on hardware, like the cabinetry, hardware on the doors, and this is having other people do the work for me. Let's say, I don't know, $1,500 for hardware, miscellaneous repairs and dumping, $5,000. Let's sum this up. There you go, $33,700. Quick note of clarity, that $5,000 would have probably gone towards reglazing the tile in the tub area and updating the countertop with a nice newer countertop in the kitchen. Also, yes, I know I said carpet in the back bedroom, but you gotta think about it this way. Carpet in one bedroom, 100 square feet, is probably gonna cost me like $450. And even if I have to replace it every 5 years, it's just one bedroom. It's not that big of a deal, assuming there isn't already hardwood in that back bedroom, which there might very well be. If I could stick with the hardwood, I would love that. But I'm usually not gonna put a vinyl plank in a back bedroom and have hardwood in the rest of the property. Carpet would be totally acceptable and it wouldn't really change the rent ROI on the deal. Now, I'm not gonna run rental comps on this. All I'm going to do is I'm going to speculate on what I think a 2-in-1 would rent for in move-in ready rental condition. I'd probably get $24.95 is my guess in Los Angeles for a 2-in-1 move-in ready rental. Being a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in this higher end remodel status where you've moved some walls, you've opened it up a little bit, and you added a bathroom, my guess is you'd probably be able to rent this thing for $27.95, about a $300 premium. Now, I could be wrong about that. I haven't looked at a single comp for this. This is just kind of guesses based on what my experience would be in my area for an extra bathroom. The problem is that $300 just cost you $70,000, which means your payback period is 233 months. 233 months is a 19-year payback period to get $300 on $700 in rent. Even if you could rent this thing for $29.95, $500 more than the basic remodel, which I don't think, because the square footage is still the same, it would still take 11 years to pay back for this renovation. And then you have depreciation, wear and tear on that.
I'm guessing we're still another 2 months away from finishing everything, which I'll admit is a little bit longer than I would have liked, because every month this place sits empty is $3,000 more in lost rent.
So quick note in editing, I just realized on playback that Graham said $3,000 in lost rent, so he's obviously projecting that $3,000 figure. I still think the gap between my remodel to his remodel wouldn't be that big, because think, even if you had carpet in that back room, you'd still have a functional 2-bedroom, 1-bath, beautiful new hardwood flooring, new paint, brand new looking cabinets. I'd throw in new appliances, glaze the countertop in the bathroom, and everything would look nice. New light fixtures, new plumbing, it would look nice. So it's that difference, but hey, just a different approach.
But when it comes to that, patience is always key, and I knew what I was getting myself into. And I'll be sure to keep everyone posted as more work gets done, and of course, as
That is the other downside of doing larger remodels, is the properties sit vacant, you have to get vacant home insurance, and you end up spending more money and more money and more money because you go through this mentality of, well, we may as well while the wall's open. And then that adds another month to the project, and that's another month of lost rent, another month of expenses. It adds up. All in all, though, we know that Graham's not struggling for money. I think this is going to be a wonderful property, especially if he keeps it for at least the next 25 years. My expectation is as long as he keeps this property for the long term, you can't really overspend in the situation that he's in. So overall, because he's going in the full remodel direction, he's gonna have a great new old home, and it's going to make sense for him. I personally would have approached this differently. I would have spent less money, taking that extra $70,000 or $80,000, and I would have used that money to go control another property instead. I would have also had less headaches to deal with. I wouldn't have had to go through the stress of dealing with the floor plan, and I'd have a much clearer picture going in because I know a basic remodel is going to cost me X compared to a remodel that is basically a rebuild, which that can be very blurry in terms of what you're going to end up spending, what that final cost is.